What's up, y'all? It's Zarek with Underdogs of Addiction. Today's video is about my Aunt Raisha's story. This is a very emotional and painful topic for me to talk about, and but I think it's necessary. So to tell you about my Aunt Raisha, I'm going to tell you what happened to her first, and then go deeper into that. But she passed away in 2013. Actually, I'm sorry, it was 2011. I forget the exact date sometimes just because I've really numbed the memories out. But she passed away in 2011 from oxycontin-laced fentanyl. And so that's just the story I'm going to tell you guys about. I'm going to go deeper into it. But first, I want to talk about who she was as a person. My aunt was my second mother / big sister. She wasn't too much older than me. When I was maybe 6 or 7, she was 22, 23. So she was very young. So she was that fun aunt. And she had a daughter that was the same age as me. That I grew up, and she was like my third sister. And, my memories of her were just us having fun, and she was an amazing singer, like had a voice of an angel, like can sing like crazy, and she just was exciting. Everything we did, she always made it exciting, whether it was going to Blockbuster Video or going on a road trip or whatever we did, it was exciting. And some of my best childhood memories were just spent over at her house. She always made sure she had like a nice place to stay. Wasn't the richest person, but she always made sure she had a nice, comfortable place to stay, no matter how small it was. And it always felt like home. And she loved video games. And so my memories were just like, my best memories were probably from like when I was 10 or 11 years old and just being over at her house and playing video games, and her taking me to the store to go rent video games, and her cooking, just amazing fried chicken she could cook and collard greens, and she just was a great cook. Like when you went over to my Aunt Raisha's house, like you always left satisfied as far as food goes, because she was a big food person. She was the one who put me on to a lot of the music I've loved. She always had like amazing sound systems in her car, and she would, she was the one who would put me on to like Biggie Smalls, and she put me on to DMX, and she just put me on to a lot of great music. And just my memories for us were just staying up late on a Friday, Saturday night and playing video games, all of us. And I would just spend my weekends over there. I was there all the time from 4 years old until I was about 13. Was when her addiction really started to take control, and she started isolating from the family. Some of my best memories with her were being 9 or 10 years old and her taking me on my first road trip to drive from Olympia, Washington to San Francisco, California, to go visit my great-grandfather who was about to pass away. And we had to deal with his estate and stuff, and just driving with her there and exploring California. And like I never left my hometown, so it was just like such a cool experience. And staying in hotels and eating pizza, and my aunt always just made me feel loved. Like unfortunately my relationship with her brother, who's my father, that wasn't really the case. My dad was really disconnected, and so my aunt really helped me feel special. She made me feel important, and she always was very affectionate to me. I was like her son, and she always let me know that. And so that's kind of just just the memories of her. She was a really positive person, and she was always on a health kick and just exciting. She was an exciting person to be around. She always wanted to do the next fun thing, but there was a dark side to it too. It was she had a lot of childhood pain. She, her parents were famous jazz musicians, my grandparents, and so there was a lot of neglect, a lot of times when no one was around for them. And she never even told me, some of the other things that she experienced, but I know that she suffered because my dad did as well. And I think that she was someone who wore a mask to cover up all of those childhood wounds, some of them which I don't, still to this day, don't know everything that happened to her. But she was someone who used food. She used food to comfort herself, like many people do, before her addictions really took off. You know, when I was younger, I remember her like smoking weed, and you know, she would just smoke weed and make some really good food, and that was the extent of her addiction. She would smoke weed every night, but like it didn't affect her really as a person. But what started happening, I remember being like 11 years old and like playing video games in the living room, and this pill lady used to come over, and she used to call her like the vitamin lady, excuse me. She would come and she had like this assortment of pills, and she was like some white lady in a Volvo, so of course I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think they were up to anything, and yeah, and that's when it started, and that's when I started noticing my aunt slipping away. And this was in the year 2001. And through the next few years, from my 6th grade year till about 8th grade, she slowly slipped and slipped, and there was periods of time where she stopped communicating with the family, and inevitably, in 2004, she packed her and her daughter up and moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that was the last time I ever saw her, you know. And that alone, like her leaving, felt like a mini death to me, because it really hurt my feelings, because I cared about her so much and I was so attached to her. You know, I spent like cause I told you guys, every weekend with her, up until I was like 14, no lie. Like, we were just close as fuck. You know, as close as you could be. And I loved her. I love her. It's to the, you know, obviously that never changes, and I hope one day I get to see her again in the next life. But that's kind of what happened, and we kind of lost touch. We'd talk every now and then, and she saw that I was doing my music career, and like she was really proud of me, you know. And that made up, just before she died, she had just watched some of my music videos under Styles Major, and she just was really proud of the success I was having and the truth, and that I was speaking in my songs, and that was really cool. And we didn't really talk much after that. And my favorite memory, my favorite birthday I ever had in my life was when I was in 6th grade, and my aunt always tried to make you feel special on your birthday, and she picked me up, and she had like a system in her car, and she picked all my friends up and took us to the skate park, and took us to the mall, and just like, it was those little things that she would do to make a difference, you know, that I never took for granted, because I knew, like, I don't know, man, like, she was an angel in my life, and she wasn't perfect, you know. She had a lot of issues herself, and she wasn't always the nicest person to everyone else, but for some reason she never got mad at me. And I mean, my earliest memories, I remember her, and you know, like, she's one of, you know, it's just a lot of memories. And so I was really hurt for many years, just because I didn't know she had a pill problem. I thought that she just left and didn't care about us anymore, and like, I didn't hear from her. And not knowing that people in addiction, you know, they isolate and they hide, and that's just what it was. And so I kind of just cut myself off. But I'll never forget when I got that call. You know, I was walking to work when I was like 22 years old, and my cousin texted me and just told me her daughter, and just said that your mom, you know, my mom's dead. And it just really sucked, you know, because I already felt like she had died in my life because she wasn't around. And I just walked to work that whole day crying, you know. It was hard because I already had kind of cut myself off emotionally, because she stopped talking to me and stuff, and I didn't know it was because she was suffering, you know. Little do we know, those of us who are affected by people who overdose on drugs, that So a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. And that's just what it was. And you know, my cousin sent me a photo of just, you know, how she found her mom, and it was devastating, you know. And I've talked about her in my music. I have 2 songs where I mention my aunt. You could look it up: Styles Major, Goodbye for Now, as well as Styles Major, Dreams. And so this was before my own addiction even started really taking off, and I had no clue that I was going to go down my own rabbit hole with alcohol and cocaine. But that's the reason why I never touched pills myself, is because my aunt's death affected me so much that I looked at pills as the devil. And you know, that's all I really got to say about that situation. And anybody out there watching this that's struggling with fentanyl addiction or opiate addiction, I understand you're in pain, and I understand you're suffering just like my aunt was. Just know that there's people out there, you have family members just like me that care about you. Just look at the pain in my eyes of losing my aunt, and just remember that. And I know sometimes it's hard to remember the pain of the ones you love when the drug has you, but if you could just remember anything and get any type of grip of motivation or inspiration to change, and not allow that shame and allow all that negativity to overtake your mind and think that people don't care, because they do. And your absence in this world is going to leave a big hole to many people's lives. And you know, and now not only did I lose my aunt, my dad is dying from his fentanyl addiction as well. He doesn't have much time left. He's, for some reason, hasn't died from his addictions, even though he's done more drugs than anybody you can think of. You know, he's even told me that. He's like, son, I don't know why I'm still alive. And one of the darkest parts of the story that it's kind of hard for me to share is my dad had moved over to Pittsburgh to stay with my aunt because he kind of was always unstable and he needed somewhere to stay because he was battling his own addiction. They both were. And apparently the story is that he went out and found the Oxycontin, and this is like 2011 when fentanyl really wasn't like super big, or I didn't know about it, you know. And my aunt was one of the first people to die from an Oxycontin laced fentanyl pill, and my dad had got it for her. And I believe that my aunt's death is pretty much, it killed my father too, because he's never been the same since then. He doesn't look the same. He's just not the same. You know, and that's just what it is, yo. Like, real talk. All you guys out there struggling, I'd do anything to see my aunt again. I'd do anything. I'd do anything. And I know that you guys got people out there that would do anything to keep you alive, and they want you here. So just please don't give up.